And we are off. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Radioactive Sports Podcast. We are coming here live here on StreamYard. And of course, this is streaming live on Facebook, Twitter. Yep, that's right. I'm going to keep saying it. It's Twitter. I mean, let's just be really clear about it now. I think none of us should really ever go with the new name for Twitter, X. I mean, seriously, I know I've touched base on this before in the last couple of podcasts that I've done, putting this on Twitter. I've touched base on this, but what is X? I mean, what is that? Elon Musk? I mean, seriously, you could have had different. And yes, I remember the name this time of the new owner of Twitter. Yes, Elon Musk. You could have had better ideas of names than X. I mean, like, seriously, this is what you came up with was X. That's lame. Anyway, we are streaming this on Twitter and on YouTube, and of course, I am the host of this podcast, Justin Pemberton. And I for one, if I was owner of Twitter, I would have left it at Twitter. I would have had zero time of being waste of having to come up with a new name for Twitter. That's just absolutely lame. If somehow Elon Musk hears this, I kind of hope he does. It's good criticism because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's critical of the new name. But anyway, enough of that. On today's podcast, we're going to be kind of really quick on this one today. I don't want to be going too long on every topic here, but we're going to talk some Chiefs football to start out with. We're going to talk about the wild and crazy, at times, heart pounding, nerve wracking, nail biting. I mean, what does anyone else have any other adjectives to add to this game from this past Sunday night with the Chiefs and the Jets? It was a wild 23-20 victory. We'll talk about that to start things out. We're going to talk some college football after that. We're going to talk about the Jayhawks. Their very tough blowout loss to the Texas Longhorns. I've been really, I don't know, chomping at the bit to really get my thoughts on the real reason why KU lost the game. I've got some constructive criticism on their offense without one Jalen Daniels. I thought they were really they were lacking in the pace of their offense. They were not moving the ball at a very fast rate to be able to get on the ball, to be able to go score. And the same with Colorado, as I'm now just thinking about it. Colorado, in the last minutes of their game against USC, boy, they had a chance to go tie the ball game. And I think their last drive, I think they started with I want to say something like 9 minutes left. And they took all their sweet you-know-what time driving the ball down the field, running the ball, not getting on the ball and going. They didn't score until with a minute something left, and it was too late. I think they tried an onside kick. I kind of missed the very, very last few seconds of that game between USC and Colorado, but the Buffaloes had a chance to win the ball game, and they absolutely screwed that up. And I'm all for getting on the ball, get out of that stupid huddle. Huddling in football to me now is old school. I think it's unnecessary. I know there's times you want to slow down, but I think if you really want to make a statement, you got to get on the ball. You've got to, well, not only that, but you have to keep the opposing defense honest. You have to make sure that the opposing defense is on their heels, that their backs are against the wall. You have to make sure that they are not ready for anything that you run. And I played defense in high school, so I'm a first defensive guy. But as far as offense is concerned, I really, really believe that offenses, I think every team should have that 2-minute no huddle approach. get on that ball, get some more plays. The commentators for ESPN slash ABC for the KU Texas game, they were talking about the number of plays, I believe, or it may have been, actually, I either heard this on the broadcast of the game or it was like on Sports Radio 810 or something. But somebody was mentioning about the number of plays compared to Texas, KU. KU had 26 at one point, and are we low on connection here? I'm seeing some at the top of the screen here. That's getting me kind of noticing things here. But the number of plays, and I think had KU, try to hustle up more offensively, I think they would have had more plays being run, and they would have had a better chance of staying in the ball game. But I'll get to other thoughts on that here coming up. We'll try to wrap up the show if there's time. I want to get my thoughts on Zack Greinke, the Royals pitcher, get my thoughts on his career, my appreciation towards him during his time as a Royal, the two different stints. The first time, talk about the good, talk about the bad of Zack Greinke just real quick. So let's get on with it. Let's talk about the Chiefs. I want to try to really kind of run through this podcast here today, and not really have a long podcast here today. So I'm gonna really try to kind of just go through things and not have too many thoughts. But I do want to get my thoughts first on the Chiefs' victory on the against the Jets, 23-20 last Sunday night. Boy, I know you can never apologize for winning in the NFL. You can't ever feel sorry for winning ball games, but this was a game, and I know it's good to go through these games to where you have to overcome adversity. You have to overcome being a little battle tested in that game. And hey, you know what? Kudos to that Jets defense. They're really, really good. All levels of their defense are pretty spot on. Their D line's really good. Their linebackers are fantastic, and their secondary is. I'll say it. I think they're the best secondary in all of football. So they really, really tested this Chiefs offense, and of course Patrick Mahomes. Is it safe to say this was maybe his worst game as a Chief? Please leave some comments on that. Give me your thoughts on that by just leaving your comments, and of course I will try to pull them up here and maybe discuss those real quick. If you want, well, not if you want to, but I hope you do, because I want to kind of create a little bit of a conversation here. But is this possibly his worst game as a Chief? I mean, he threw two very I'm gonna say it, very Brett Favre like interceptions, and I think there's a reason why coming out of college. Okay, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time being critical on Mahomes, because I don't want to, because he's the best player in the game. But when he was coming out of college, I mean, there's a reason why he was drawing comparisons to Brett Favre, because I think, like Favre, he's got that mentality where I think he can get a little cocky with his play. I think he believes he can make any throw he wants to. If anyone has seen any of the audio highlights or the footage highlights of Brett Favre's career with the Packers, there's one where he's coming off, he's throwing it, he just threw a dumb interception. Mike Holmgren, the head coach, on the sideline, he pulls him over and he said, "Brett, why'd you throw that ball?" And then Brett goes, "Because I can." I think Mahomes has that mentality sometimes where he's gonna probably make Andy Reid, ask him, "Hey, why'd you just do that, Pat?" And then just like, "Because I can, because I'm Mahomes, because I'm talented." We just lost connection for a minute. Oh, Wi-Fi is such a joke here. I mean, Wi-Fi in general, internet connection is so awful. I hope I hope you guys can hear me on this because I've got some low connection right now. It sounds like I'm looking at the top of the screen here. And I'm getting one bar on here. I hope that's not causing any bad connection here. But we're talking Chiefs football for those who are just now tuning in. We're talking about the Jets. We're the Chiefs 23-20 victory over the Jets. I'm giving my thoughts on Patrick Mahomes' performance from the other night. Now we're up to two bars there. Okay, I gotta stop being so distracted by that. But Mahomes was 18 of 30 for 203 yards, one touchdown, two, as I was just talking about, the two costly interceptions. Thank goodness it didn't lead to the potential victory for the Jets. Of course, we can't fail to not mention about the boneheaded penalty from Jawan Taylor. And now, I mean, say what you want about the penalty that led to the safety for the Jets, which of course that just changed the entire outcome of the ball game. Instead of the Chiefs just cruising up 17-0 and could have gone to do more, and then it ended up being a 20. Well, eventually a 20-20 tie. Chiefs got a field goal, but you take that safety penalty out of the equation. I think the Chiefs honestly cruise pretty easily through this ball game, despite the fact that Patrick Mahomes was having a rough night, and despite the fact the Jets defense was giving the Chiefs offense a lot of problems. What are the Chiefs going to do, honestly, with Jawan Taylor? I think at some point, I think we're at the point where Andy Reid, I'd say Andy Reid, I'd say Mahomes, I would say Andy Heck, and I'd say others out there just need to just sit down with the guy and tell him, listen, man, we need you. You are a part of this team. You have got to stop these silly penalties. He's already got 10 penalties in 4 games. And I'm trying to remember where I heard what the record for an individual in a season, I think it's 23. He's got 10 already. He's got 10 penalties already. I mean, we got to stop looking at this as it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And again, I mean, say what you want about that one particular penalty and several of them. Is it probably the NFL? Is it the officials that are just coming after Jawan Taylor on purpose because they're all Chief haters and they want to see the Chiefs not have a dynasty? Or what are your thoughts on that? Me personally, I think it's a combination of everything. But I think in that situation, or for most of these penalties, I think Jawan Taylor is his own worst enemy. I think the guy just needs to flat out just stop it. He needs to think. He needs to just slow down. He needs to just take a breath. He just needs to concentrate. And that's all it is. It is concentration. Line up where you're supposed to line up. Don't leave early. Don't line up incorrectly. And then I think you'll be fine because his blocking overall has been okay. I mean, it's been solid. Now he did get beat pretty good the other night. Of course, again, it's a very good Jets defense. So, I mean, many offensive lines are going to look pretty silly this year and have in the last year or so, because now the Jets defense, I'm trying to remember the stat that I heard a couple of days ago. It's now 22 consecutive games that they haven't allowed a 300-yard passer. 22 consecutive games. Think about that, and just think about the overall structure of the game today. How it has gone so far to the offense, to its advantage over defenses. how the offense has just taken over this league as the primary um dominant area of the sport, and how defenses have. Um, I mean, do I want to go prehistoric terms with like dinosaurs extinct? Do I do I go that far? Do I say that defenses have gone extinct like like dinosaurs in the prehistoric times? Um, I don't think completely because of course the Jets, they're up there among the best defenses. They've got some playmakers, obviously, as we know. Um, but defenses just don't have uh the same dominant factor as they used to because the rule changes have favored the offense so much. Um, but I mean, I think overall, I think these penalties, I think they've got to stop. I mean, I think at some point, I think they will correct itself. I think the Chiefs as a whole, I think they will correct themselves. They usually do. They get off to kind of a crazy start with the penalties every year, then they kind of calm down a little bit as the season progresses. But Jawan Taylor, um, I'm pretty concerned about Jawan Taylor. I don't know if he has what it takes to just simmer down and calm down. Hey, I mean, I hope I'm wrong, um, but it's at some point, I think if it gets worse, I think Andy Reid, they and uh, Andy Heck, I think the coaching staff, they need to seriously think about making a change at right tackle. And I don't care if someone else will take his spot, but it's going to have to be that next man up mentality. And whoever that is, they're going to really step in, and hopefully they're better as far as you know being in better position, lining up correctly, not grabbing someone's jersey for holding, grabbing a face mask or whatever. And I mean, again, say what you want about that call. I have seen the replay, and it looked like the Jets player was grabbing the face mask at first, so it should have been a defensive face mask on the Jets instead of a holding in the, of course, a safety. And we can talk about all we want. How did it start before they crossed the goal line? Is it really a safety? Did the Chiefs get robbed on that? I mean, there's so many factors we can go in, but it doesn't have to happen. And it doesn't happen if you just pull your head out and think. And that goes for all sides. I mean, the Chiefs in that situation, Jawan Taylor, and then of course the Jets defender too. I mean, you don't need to grab a face mask. You don't need to do that. And speaking of very bogus calls, and this one was not the holding call on Sauce Gardner. That's been really talked about in the last couple of days, especially if you go listen to that stupid ESPN show Get Up every morning with Mike Greenberg, the biggest crybaby Jets fan out there. Yeah, talking about you, Mike Greenberg. You stink at hosting Get Up, by the way. I never watched the show because you're so annoying, because all you talk about is your lovely, lousy Jets. He was crying about the holding call on Sauce Gardner, and then Rob's the Jets head coach Robert Saleh. I mean, dude, it was holding. Sauce Gardner was holding. Was it MVS that was trying to get the ball, trying to catch the ball downfield when Mahomes. He was trying to get open when Mahomes, of course, took off on the long 3rd and 22. That I thought was the play of the game. To be really honest, I thought Mahomes' 3rd and 22 run was the play of the game. Um, but seriously, I mean, coaches, players, all this complaining, all this crying, whining, bickering about calls. Hey, when you know it's real, when you know it's legit, own up to it. Own it. Say, okay, my bad. I did it. I'm guilty of the call. These players, especially corners. I mean, none of them None of these guys ever say, I did it. I did it. It's always, oh, why me? Why me? Oh, I didn't do anything. No, you did. Okay. You held Sauce Gardner. Learn because you're a rookie. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the NFL, Sauce Gardner. You may be great. You're really good. But right there, you held. And Robert Sala, dude, I mean, save your energy for arguing other calls. Now, this was a game where, I mean, calls on both sides were terrible. The officiating has gotten so bad. It's so comedic. It is so wrong on all sides. The Chiefs got away with calls. There were ones that the Chiefs should never have gone against them. The Jets should have had more. There was probably maybe a couple the Jets didn't really deserve. I mean, it was bad. I mean, it was bad all across the board. Um, but that one in particular, um, that was pretty obvious. Just like the one back in the Super Bowl last year, the very late call on the Eagles defensive back when he was grabbing Juju Smith-Schuster, that was obvious. And of course, you saw all off season the Eagles were just complaining and whining and mooning and you know what about the call. Get over yourselves. I mean, it was real. It was obvious. It was obvious, and this one was too. So I don't know. I mean, until Roger Goodell, the commissioner, steps in and actually does something for the first time in his life, which, let's be honest, his entire time as commissioner, he's never done a thing with the officiating other than the awful, was it 2012 when the replacement refs came on board? And that was so awful. The never forgotten Seahawks Packers game with that Hail Mary touchdown at the end. And they had to decide who got the ball. Was it the Seahawks? Was it the Packers? And the Seahawks won the ball game when clearly the Packers picked it off, and they said otherwise. Okay, other than that, Goodell has never done anything with the officiating. He's been terrible as commissioner of controlling the officiating. And gee, I wonder why. It's because that's the way they want. They want chaos. They want drama. I mean, this is how the NFL goes, people. This is how, well, sports in general. That's how it goes. It's entertainment. It's a business. They care about this money. That's what they care about. They're not going to care about the overall quality of the game. Okay. I mean, let's just be real here. Let's call it what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. This is reality. And what we keep seeing, especially from this game, is reality. This is it. So, I mean, we could still complain and moan, cry, whine, all we want, but it's not going to change until, well, either, like I said, Goodell steps in, puts his big boy pants on, and does something about it, or someone else takes over as commissioner, someone that actually gives a hoot about the league, not about revenue, not about money, it being a business, but someone that actually cares about the actual sport. That's probably when things will change, and you'll see maybe some actual discipline for the for the officials. I just I have no further comment on that because I don't know what else to say. But this is the way it's going to be. Every game, especially involving the Chiefs, because they're the target now. I think they are public enemy number one in the NFL. And that's how it goes when one team just keeps winning and winning and winning, just like the Patriots. Um, but they're going to keep getting targeted on with flags and penalties. And yeah, I mean, some of these, the Chiefs can do a lot better of being more disciplined, but a lot of these too fall on the terrible officiating. So, um, but it was a wild, crazy game. It was definitely a game that it should have been a blowout. It should have been. Um, but give credit to the Jets defense. They were unbelievable. Zach Wilson, um, this kind of pains me a little bit to stomach in what he did. I think he had his best game, obviously, as a Jet. Um, I think some of it was just based on the penalty on Jawan Taylor. It was that little spark that started the fire. It changed the outcome of the game. And excuse me. And it led Zach Wilson, the offense, to kind of just have its chance of getting back in the ball game. I don't think all this would have happened had that penalty had not occurred. I don't think Zach Wilson has the night he did. I still think the Chiefs defense, though, despite all of the chaos, I think they played pretty well. They could still do a better job of turning their head and look for the ball as far as the linebackers and the defensive backs are concerned. That was my only pet peeve. Despite that one big run by Brees Hall, I thought the run defense was very stout, very good, very solid. This Chiefs defense, this, and I know we're just only 4 weeks into the season, people, but I think this could go down as the best defense that Steve Spagnuolo has had since he's been the DC here in Kansas City, and I think this could be the best defense in the Andy Reid regime or the Andy Reid era here in Kansas City, because the other defenses in the past have not even come close to this kind of performance, these kind of numbers. And it's been unbelievable to watch this defense week in, week out, these first 4 weeks play the way they have. And just wait until Nick Bolton gets back. Wait until Snead and wait until everyone's kind of fully healthy. This defense, and then of course the other defensive end they got this offseason from the 49ers. Once he comes back from his suspension, look out. I mean, and then of course when Felix, the rookie from K-State, when he starts to kind of figure things out a little bit, and then of course you've still got George Karlaftis, he's still growing. Wait until everyone is just on the same page. Wait until they got everyone to use. Rotate fresh legs all the time, fresh bodies. This defense, it could be legit, people. I mean, it's already legit, but I mean, it can be top 5. It could be top. Well, I mean, let's see how it plays out. I think the ceiling is top 3. Top 3 defense, and then of course the offense. If they just keep progressing, and the receivers get better. Scary. I mean, it is scary to think what this team can do. But what a crazy game. And I'll tell you this. Well, first of all, I'm tired of hearing all the Taylor Swift stuff too. I mean, not so much the Kelsey Swift, all that news, but I mean, I was hearing stuff. Oh well, it was because of Taylor Swift. That's why the Chiefs were distracted. No, okay. Here's also why this game got crazy. It was in New York City, people. It was under the big stage, the big lights, national TV, New York City. Okay, this game's a blowout if it's played at Arrowhead Stadium. Let's be real here. The Jets don't have a prayer if they came to Arrowhead. The Chiefs would have blown their doors off. And see, I don't care how good the Jets defense is, which it's legit. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Jets defense keeps them in the ball game, and maybe it's a low-scoring game there too. Maybe. But come on. I mean, New York City, New York's a crazy city. Crazy stuff happens. And when you're on national TV, under the big stage, under the bright lights, in prime time, crazy stuff happens. Drama happens. That's right. So I'm just telling you, that's my opinion. I think this is a blowout if it's played elsewhere, especially here in Kansas City. Okay, let's quickly give my thoughts on the Jayhawks. Very tough 40-14 loss against the Texas Longhorns. I do want to go back. I did have a comment earlier from one of my friends, Alex Blicken, did comment on my post that because I said I wanted to talk about this game and his overall thoughts. I'm just going to read this real quick. He said, "I'm hoping." Well, first he said he hopes to tune in, which I hope you do, man. I really hope you do. But I might be able, I might able to because of work. But he said KU simply did not have the talent on defense, especially to keep up with Texas for 4 quarters. Okay, that's true, and that's what I was gonna get to. They just don't have the depth to be able to keep up. But I think that was simply because the offense just didn't do enough. And of course, I'm going to get back to my thoughts on what I was saying earlier here in a short bit about the up tempo offense. But I'm going to continue reading this here. Then he went on to say, not having Daniels really handcuffed at the Jayhawks. Yes, I think that was the biggest reason why KU was not successful of keeping up with Texas. If they would have had Daniels, I think it's a much bigger or different outcome in that ball game. Then you said the Jayhawks offense already. Uh, okay, I'm losing my place here. So Daniels really handcuffed to the Jayhawks offense already, going against a great Longhorns or Texas defense. KU has improved a lot, but can't compete yet with a national championship contender like Texas. Okay, first of all, can we just pump the brakes on Texas just for a few minutes? Are they really a national title contender? I mean, I think they can. I mean, I know they look really good right now. They look really good right now. And maybe the college game day crew for ESPN might end up being correct about them being not only a Big 12, sleeper or the dark horse or the number one choice to win the conference, but they could potentially be a playoff contender. They could be, but man, I'm gonna kind of have the approach that Stephen A. Smith on First Take has about the Dallas Cowboys. I think you need to wait. You need to pump those brakes, people, and just wait. Wait for that one game. Wait for that stretch where things don't go their way. And like the Dallas Cowboys, when things don't go the way of the Texas Longhorns, it gets ugly. So just wait, okay, okay. And I think they're gonna really find out what a real game is like, a real a real competitive college football game is like on this Saturday when they play the Oklahoma Sooners in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl, 11 o'clock kickoff on ABC Saturday morning. Uh, yeah, that's going to be a battle tester for Texas, and you know what? I'm just going to predict it. I think Boomer Sooner pulls off the victory against the Longhorns. So, loss number uno will go to the Longhorns on Saturday, and yet they will not be undefeated anymore. And it's all part of my approach of just wait. You wait for that game. You wait for the moment when things start to collapse for Texas. Yes. But yeah, I think for KU from their perspective, I think if Daniels plays, I think this changes. And I've heard a lot of opinions, in the last couple of days. Oh, no, it would he would have not been the reason why it would have changed. It would have been the same outcome. I disagree. I heard some opinions on A10 on, was it yesterday or Monday? I was listening to the program with Seren Petro, and he was saying that I don't think it would have been the difference maker. I disagree. I absolutely disagree. Um, with that kind of opinion, I think Daniel, I think his ability, of course, when healthy, I think he's got the best chance of making KU legit. I mean, the dude can do it all. And nothing against Jason Bean, but come on. He's not Jalen Daniels. Jalen Daniels, the dude can throw at a more accurate level than Bean. Bean is like Lamar Jackson. Like he could run. He could throw some. I know he had a really nice, pretty touchdown bomb to one of the receivers early in the game, and they were still in the ball game when it was like 10-7, probably. It was really early in the game before it got out of hand for the Jayhawks. So he had one nice throw, but I just think if Daniels is in there, um, not only is it still competitive, but I think KU's offensive approach would have gone a little more faster, and that's why I'm gonna get back to it with the offensive tempo, getting on the ball, getting it going, and don't be wasting this time being in the huddle because um, the more time you waste off the clock, you're not only putting yourself behind the eight ball, but you're also giving the opposing defense a chance to kind of just sit back and kind of look at what you're doing, and they're going to be ready. If you're going up tempo, you've got that defense on its heels, man. I mean, you have got some serious advantages when you are just getting on that ball and you're just going, you're going, instead of just lunging around and you're just in that stupid huddle. I hate it. That's one of my problems with football today is not enough tempo, not enough quickness off the ball on offense. And yeah, I mean, I said earlier, I'm a defensive guy first. So yeah, I mean, I don't like seeing defenses getting blown off the ball, but I'm telling you, it is such an advantage for the offense when you are getting up and getting going. I mean, it's like when just think about like getting out of bed real quick and you got to go because you got an early appointment or something. I mean, it's the same thing. You got to go. You can't just waste time. Well, the same applies in football. You have to just get out of that offensive huddle. I mean, I think it should be banned from football is huddles. Now, I know there's times when you want to slow your offense down. You want to be able to run your offense at a more efficient, crisp level. You want to be able to not go so fast to where you're kind of overdoing it, and you're tempted to make more mistakes because you're not taking your time offensively, and you want long drives to give your defense a rest. But I'm telling you, when you and it's really I think it's very critical and very key to make an early statement offensively, and a good way to do that is to get on the ball and go. And I just don't think KU did enough of that without Jalen Daniels, and I don't think Jason Bean is that fast, up tempo, urgency kind of quarterback. I think Jalen Daniels has more of that in his game, and I think he would have had the guys moving at a more faster pace, and it would have made a huge difference in the ball game. So Texas, honestly, to me, they had nothing to do with that game. I mean, sure, okay, say what you want about the lack of depth, lack of talent, comparing the two schools. Sure. And the reason why I'm not having to say that is because we know that Texas gets all the five-star recruits. We know this already. We know it. So there's really no reason to bring that up. So instead, I'm taking a different approach and just saying if you had Jalen Daniels instead of Jason Bean in there and had Daniels been in there, I think the coaches, I think the offensive coordinator, I think Lance Leipold would have been more willing to kind of go more up tempo and be quicker on the ball, and they would have had more plays being run, and it would have been a different outcome, and the defense would have had a little more time to kind of rest and not be on the field for so long. They got wore down quickly, people, because They lacked so much depth on that side of the ball, and Texas just took it to them. That's why it was a blowout. That's why. It's not because of this. Oh well, KU just has no talent, in Texas, well, they got everything. They blah blah blah. We already know that. We already know that. Before the Daniels injury, which was very bizarre, by the way. And can anyone honestly explain to me what exactly went down with that injury with Daniels? Because I think on another sports podcast, um, I think I heard like it was some walkthrough. They're having a walkthrough um, in the was it morning, the morning of the game on Saturday morning, and somehow Jalen tweaked his back, re-aggravated his injury, and that's why he was out, didn't play. Is that really what happened? Because I honestly I don't have the slightest idea of what happened with that injury. It's very bizarre. And I heard the day before he was talking with reporters and he was feeling good. He was going to play and all this and that. Then all of a sudden, bam, didn't play. So it's one of those bizarre, and there is still no further update on Jalen as far as I know right now. Um, he missed practice on Monday. I don't know if he's practiced in the last 2 days, yesterday or today. I don't know. I mean, this is, um, I mean, I'll give an early prediction in their next game against Central Florida. I think they'll win the game, 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon in Lawrence against the Knights because well Central Florida they're kind of a hard team to kind of figure out after choking against Baylor, um, blowing a 20 some point lead and giving away to the Bears who are terrible. But if Jalen can't go again, I don't know, people. I mean, this is going to be really interesting for KU going forward. They may not have a season that a lot of the fan base was expecting, and well, including myself. I mean, I thought KU was going to be a a 9-win team because I thought Jalen was going to be the ultimate difference, and he was going to be healthy, and he was going to be playing all year. But um, not so far. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what the Jayhawks do going forward. But hopefully Jalen's healthy and best luck to him because he's a good player and you hate to see this happen because there was so much promise for him and for the Jayhawks this year. Okay, so let's just wrap up real quick. I want to talk about Zack Greinke, the longtime Royals pitcher. Of course, two different stints with the Royals. He's been back the last 2 years, including this year. Just wrapped up probably his worst year since 2005 when he led the league in losses with 17. He went 5-17 in 2005 after a very promising rookie campaign. And as we know about his story, he dealt with social anxiety disorder. He left the game in 2006, came back in '07, didn't do a whole lot. And then 2008, he started really getting back into the swing of things. And then, of course, 2009, he won the AL Cy Young Award, posting a 16-8 record with a 2.16 ERA, which led all of baseball. He was so dominant that year. Had he had better run support from the Royals in 2009, which he didn't, he had to be by far the worst run support. The guy would have shattered, and I guarantee it, he would have shattered Brett Saberhagen's club record for most wins in a year by a Royals pitcher. So, Zack Greinke, um, I think I'll start with just kind of the my feelings of kind of a timeline of my thoughts on him. So I thought at first, um, I was against all of his issues early on, I kind of laughed at his, what he was going through, and I thought he was just being a traitor to the ball club. But of course, as time goes on and you understand about things and you kind of grow to be more mature about everything, and you tend to kind of reflect and remember certain things. Well, um, I totally understand now what the guy was going through, and you honestly can't be anything but feel terrible for the guy. And what he went through is nothing is nobody wants to go through having a social anxiety disorder, because we all want to feel comfortable in our own skin. We want to be able to interact with people and be able to enjoy life, be outgoing, and just have a really positive outlook on life instead of feeling so down and gloomy and depressed, having depression. That's what Zach had. Um, but you know what? I appreciate the guy for stick for well for coming back to the Royals after how it ended the first time, when the Royals had to deal him to the Milwaukee Brewers, which it's the best trade in franchise history because it got back Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, I'm trying to remember who else. It got back Jeremy Jeffers and who's that other pitcher on? It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of the name. Um, Jake Odorizzi. They also dealt Bedencourt, the shortstop or the second baseman, in that deal as well. Uneski Bedencourt. So um, it's the best trade in franchise history, but just the way it ended, he didn't believe the team was going to win. Ned Yost tried so hard to convince Zach that the team was going to start winning, um, and he just didn't believe it. He was done being here in Kansas City, and I gotta be honest. I mean, I was torn about Zach leaving, and it was probably the one player I felt the most torn about since Carlos Beltran, got dealt in 2004, or in the middle of the 2004 season, to the Houston Astros, which that's one of the worst trades of all time in Royals history. Um, and then he goes on to have way more success. He's got now 225 career victories. Um, he's a six-time All-Star. He's got multiple Gold Gloves. He's got a couple Silver Slugger awards too. The kid can hit too, which is pretty impressive for a pitcher. Uh, I mean, he's had such a remarkable career, and I hope that he can make it into Cooperstown. Um, if this is indeed the end of Zack Greinke, I'm very happy for him. I honestly now, I mean, I don't care if the guy is different. I don't care if the fact that his personality is a little out there. I don't care. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he's one of my all-time favorite Royals. He really is, and I feel bad, for early on how I really felt about him. Um, I have regrets, of early on of feeling the opposite of what I do now. Um, I really appreciate the guy for coming back this the second time, a couple years ago in 2022. I was very shocked when the Royals brought him back. I didn't think he was ever coming back to the Royals. I really didn't, and it's a really neat story, I think, to see a hometown grown player that the Royals drafted to come back like that, and to see him all grown up. He's married. He's got a wife. I think he's got 3 kids, I think. And there was a really nice moment after the game on Sunday where you see him, well, not after the game, but after he was done pitching, and he had received just a awesome standing ovation from the fans and the curtain call, which was so cool. That's something you never would have expected to see from Zack Greinke during the first stint, because of where he was at, in his life, and where his personality was and everything. It was just all over the place. It was a mess. Um, but there was a really nice moment where one of his kids, in the stands comes to him, and I think he signed a baseball and he's talking to his little boy. It was such an awesome moment, and you really have to feel very happy for the guy. Um, I hope that it's not it. I hope he does come back. Honestly, I think to save his chances to make it into Cooperstown, I think he needs to retire. But it would be nice to see him on one last ride with the Royals, and maybe he can be some help to make this team far better than what it was this year. Um, I think it's bad luck for Zach, where he was on the 2005 team, which posted the worst record in franchise history. And now this year, he's on a team that tied that record. And luckily, he was the one that stopped the possibility of resetting the club record for most losses in the season. So that's some bad, unfortunate luck there for Zack Greinke. But overall, just a tremendous guy. Say what you want about his personality. You know what? I'm not going to downgrade the guy. Now, 10 plus years ago, I probably would have, but that's just all part of, again, like I just said, it's all part of over time when you begin to kind of see things, you begin to understand, and you mature as yourself, you mature a lot more, and you begin to understand, and you look back on things, you go, oh, okay, okay. And then you begin to kind of say, well, gee, I had a bad approach on that. I really thought badly about that person. And that's just something we cannot do. And using bad judgment on other people, is something that I, have to work on still. And a lot of us have to. And, but now with Zach Greinke, I just think it's an awesome story, that he's had a chance to come back here. Now the year didn't go the way he wanted to. He was 2-15 with an ERA over 5. But overall, I think he he's enjoyed his 2 years back here, and he's going to be 40 years old here very soon, I think. And I hope that there's one more run in him, and hopefully he can have a better overall record than this year. But I think, again, to save his chances of making it into Cooperstown, and hopefully if he does get into Cooperstown, he will go in as a Royal. Hopefully that'd be really awesome. Um, but it would be cool to see Zack Greinke make one last run at it with the Royals next year. But we'll wait and see. That's going to officially wrap this podcast up. I know it's a little more shorter than they are usually, but well, like I said, I really want to get through this here today. So for those that did tune in here live, I do appreciate you guys checking this out. Of course, if you missed this on your Facebook page, you can go back later and you can watch this. Just you can go on my timeline. Of course, you can go on YouTube, search for Radioactive Sports. You can watch the video there. I would love to have some viewership on there. So please give me some views. Watch this. Of course, on Twitter, it'll be on my Twitter handle. So that's going to pretty much do it here. And we will be back next time here on the next edition of the Radioactive Sports Podcast. I am Justin Barrington. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.